Frank, a seasoned forest ranger, set out for his usual patrol with his loyal German shepherd by his side. The forest had always been a place of solace and routine for Frank. The vibrant sounds of birds chirping, the rustling of leaves, and the distant calls of wildlife created a rhythm that he had come to cherish. But today, something felt different. It wasn't long before the eerie silence caught his attention. The usual symphony of nature had been replaced by an unsettling stillness, and Frank's instincts told him something was off. As they walked deeper into the woods, Frank noticed that his canine companion had suddenly stopped. The German shepherd stood frozen, its ears pricked and nose twitching in the air. A wave of unease rippled through Frank. The dog had an uncanny ability to detect things far beyond human perception. The air felt heavy, and the tension was palpable. The two of them had reached a tree where a large nest was perched high up in the branches. Frank knew this tree well. He had watched birds build that nest season after season. It was usually bustling with activity, with birds fluttering about tending to their home. But today, it was lifeless. No chirps, no fluttering wings, nothing. Frank squinted up at the nest, a growing sense of dread forming in his gut. Grabbing a ladder from his truck, he quickly set it up against the tree and began climbing. His dog remained at the base, pacing restlessly as if sensing something unseen. When Frank finally peered into the nest, his breath caught in his throat. There were no birds, but there was something else, something that didn't belong. Without a moment's hesitation, Frank scrambled back down the ladder, his heart pounding. He immediately pulled out his radio and called the police, trying to convey the gravity of the situation. However, the dispatcher on the other end seemed dismissive, suggesting that it was probably nothing more than a natural phenomenon. Frustrated but undeterred, Frank knew this was the beginning of a larger mystery. Frank was no stranger to the unpredictability of the wild. Over the years, he had encountered his fair share of strange occurrences, but something about this felt different. He couldn't shake the feeling that the silent nest and the uneasy atmosphere were connected to something far more sinister. The next day, determined to get to the bottom of it, Frank and his dog returned to the same spot. As they approached the tree, the German shepherd began circling the area, its nose to the ground, sniffing with even more urgency than before. The dog's behavior confirmed Frank's suspicions. Something was definitely amiss. As Frank examined the ground around the base of the tree, he noticed unusual marks. They weren't the kind of tracks made by any of the park's common animals. These were deliberate, almost as if made by something or someone unnatural. His mind raced with possibilities. Was it an unknown predator? Or worse, was it human interference? His dog let out a low growl, signaling it had picked up on something. Frank crouched down beside his loyal companion, studying the markings more closely. His eyes widened as he realized the truth. The marks were made by tools. Someone had been tampering with the nest. Climbing the ladder once again, Frank took a closer look inside the nest. His heart skipped a beat. There, hidden beneath some twigs, was something that definitely didn't belong in a bird's nest. Large, strange-looking eggs. They weren't from any species native to this forest or even the region. What were they doing here? Frank's mind raced. He quickly descended the ladder and grabbed his phone to take pictures. He documented everything, from the strange eggs to the unusual markings on the ground. This wasn't just some natural oddity. It was a crime. But when he called the police again, the response was the same as before. They were indifferent, dismissing his concerns as irrelevant. Frustration bubbled inside Frank. He couldn't let this go. That night, back at his office, Frank pored over the photos and his notes, trying to connect the dots. As he stared at the images of the nest and the tree, something caught his eye. There was a faint, almost invisible pattern in the dirt near the base of the tree, something he had missed during his initial investigation. The next morning, Frank and his German shepherd returned to the scene. Guided by the dog's sharp sense of smell, they found even more markings on the bark of the tree. These weren't just random scuffs, they were deliberate cuts, made by tools. It was clear that someone had been tampering with the nest, and the presence of the strange eggs only deepened the mystery. Realizing he needed backup, Frank reached out to a few trusted friends in law enforcement. Together, they devised a plan to catch whoever was behind this. They suspected that the park was being used for illegal activities, possibly animal trafficking. As the team moved through the forest, Frank noticed that the path leading to the tree had been altered. Branches had been strategically placed to block the way, as if someone was trying to delay them. Tension mounted as they neared the nest. Suddenly, a man emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. His face was twisted with anger, and his voice was low and menacing. "You should have stopped investigating. Now it's too late." Frank's pulse quickened, but he remained calm. His German Shepherd, ever vigilant, growled low in its throat, ready to act if needed. Before the man could make a move, the police officers swooped in, subduing him with swift efficiency. It soon became clear that this man wasn't working alone. As they continued their investigation, more people were found hiding in the woods, all involved in the same operation. The truth was even darker than Frank had imagined. Hidden within the branches of the nest, they discovered more eggs, large, rare eggs belonging to protected species. The nest had been used as a hiding place for trafficked animals. The traffickers had been using the park as a storage point, hiding eggs from endangered species before selling them on the black market. The discovery was a blow to the local ecosystem. These trafficked eggs were part of an illegal international trade that endangered not only the wildlife in the park, but also the region's biodiversity. Frank couldn't believe the scale of the operation. His quiet forest, a place of peace and natural beauty, had been turned into a hub for criminals exploiting wildlife. Thanks to Frank's persistence and the unwavering loyalty of his German Shepherd, the criminals were caught and the operation was dismantled. The park would no longer serve as a hideout for illegal animal trafficking. Frank's actions that day became a story of hope and environmental protection. His determination to uncover the truth and protect the forest inspired others to take action, joining the fight to preserve nature and safeguard endangered species. As word of the investigation spread, Frank became a local hero, his story a reminder of the importance of staying vigilant and never underestimating the power of intuition. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about real-life adventures and mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next episode.